8-1, and 8-2. So, what have we learned so far? Kind of positive, negative numbers. Will? Good. What integers are? What is an integer? Mark. Good. A whole number. So a positive whole number. Its opposite, including 0. Those are all integers. So I'm going to, if I point to you, give me an example of an integer. 73. 15. Yes. 81. Well. 999.
48.
48. These are all been what type of integers? Positive. Now they're not all just positive, so we need some different ones. Good. Okay. What about 0? Is 0 an integer? Yes. It is an integer. It is all whole. Positive numbers. Its opposites and 0. Okay. All right. We talked yesterday about comparing integers. So I want to go over 2 examples. So on the top right, I want you to write these, and I want you to solve for them. Okay, let's do -8 compared to -3. I have negative 1,243 compared to negative 1,200. Compare them using greater than, less than, or equal to sign. Right. We have -8 and -3. What symbol is going to go in here? Will. Less than symbol. Like this. So is -8 less than -3? Yes, that is a true statement. Why is that true? Colin.
Because -3 is farther right on the number line.
Perfect. -3 is farther right on the number line. The farther right you are, the larger the number. Okay, -1,243 compared to -1,242. What do we have? Elian. Less than symbol. That is correct answer. Okay. -1,242 is farther right on the number line, or it's closer to 0. Talking about negatives. Are we good with that? Okay. I'm going to introduce the next topic by doing something kind of weird. Okay, I'm going to ask you some random questions here, but I want you to give me an approximate answer. Okay, in miles. How far is it to the K from here? Colin? Half a mile. Anyone else? Have a guess? Elian?
I think it's about a little bit less than a quarter of a mile.
So a quarter of a mile. All right, how far is it to DLM? Just go. Dorothy Lane Market. How far from here? How long? Mark? A mile and a half. 3 to 4 miles. Lucas? 2 miles. How far is it to Cincinnati? Colin? 10 to 15 miles. Skylar? 20 to 25. 27. How far to Alaska? Anchorage, Alaska. How many miles? Shiloh? A lot. Yes, give me a number. A guess. It's okay if you're incorrect. I'm probably going to be incorrect. Okay, Mark. Good. Alistair. 5,000. Okay, how many miles it is to Anchorage, Alaska is 3,868 miles. Okay. All right. That was kind of weird, right? What was the answer to all of those questions I gave you talking about integers. Well,
That was a positive number?
they were all positive. In all of those questions, we were talking about a distance between 2 points, right? From here to the K, here to Dorothy Lane Market, here to Cincinnati, here all the way to Alaska. Those are distances. So what do we know is always going to be true about a distance? Libby, it's always going to be a positive number. That is what we are dealing with today. Maybe I'll pull this up here. Thank you. All right, so talking about distance, it is called absolute value. Okay? The absolute value of a number is the distance from 0 on a number line. Okay? Since absolute value is a distance, and absolute value will never be negative. So whenever we deal with today, absolute value will never be negative. Because it is a distance. Okay? The symbol for absolute value of a number, N, is it's these 2 lines. Imagine a referee saying the field goal is good. Right? That is absolute value symbol. So an example is, does anyone want to try to read this? Or do you want me to do it first? Try though. Give it a try. 5. That's your answer? Okay. That is the answer. Okay. How we read it though. How you read this is the absolute value of 5 equals 5. Why is the answer 5? Whoa. Chris. Good, there's no negative. If you look at a number line, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units away from 0. It's a distance. Okay. How do you read this one? We were just reading it. How would you read that? Skylar. Perfect. The absolute value of -3. Now, what is the absolute value of -3? Melody. So a distance cannot be negative. So we're talking about the distance. -3 is away from 0. 3. Okay? How far is away from 0? We have 1, 2, 3. 3 units away from 0. Questions? Chris?
So, the absolute value is always going to end in a positive number?
Yep. Anything inside these absolute value symbols, anything inside of here will always equal a positive number. Okay? Because it's a distance. A distance has to be positive. You can't travel a negative distance. You're always going to. But if you walk backwards to the K, would you still travel a distance that's positive? Yeah, you still walk. Okay. Go ahead, and what I want you to do is in part 1, you have 4 questions there. Finding the absolute value. I'll tell you this. The first 3 you should be able to answer. The 4th one is a challenge. See if you can figure it out. A. How do you read that sentence? Will?
The absolute value of 9.
Good. The absolute value of 9 equals 9. It's 9 units away from 0. Perfect. The second one. How do we read that? Colin?
The absolute value of -3 is 3.
We agree with Colin. Yes, he is correct. -3 is 3 units away from 0. All right, C. How do you read C? Elion.
The absolute value of
Absolute value of number.
the absolute value of 0.
The absolute value of 0 equals 0. 0 is 0 units away from 0. Right? Alistair. Okay, number 4. All right. Are we good with these? Okay, number 4 is a little different. Anyone want to take a shot on how to read it? Alistair, go ahead.
The absolute value of minus negative 8 is 8.
Okay, not quite. Lucas? That is exactly right. You see the negative sign outside the absolute value?
Yeah.
That represents an opposite. Okay, so how that is read is the opposite of the absolute value of negative 8. Okay? So what's the opposite of the absolute value of negative 8? Melody. Negative 8. What else do you think? Will. 8. Anyone else? Raise your hand if you think it is negative 8. Raise your hand if you think it's 8. Raise your hand if you have no idea. Okay? Alright, how you solve these problems. We start from the inside and work our way out. What is the absolute value of negative 8? Colin?
8.
It is 8. What is the opposite of 8? Chloe?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. The answer is negative 8. Alright. Who's thinking? Mr. Redinger said there's no negatives in this. Does anyone think that? A couple of you, right? Okay, what I said is that there can be no negatives inside of your absolute value. The absolute value is the distance. So anything inside your touchdown, okay, is going to be a positive. That opposite sign was outside of the absolute value. Okay? Let's try another one like that. What do you think about this one? Okay, how would we read this problem? How would we read it? Mark, I know you want to try it. Close. Close. Well? Perfect. Nice job. You start from the outside. The opposite of the absolute value of 6. Then we work inside out. What is the absolute value of 6? All together. 6. What's the opposite of 6? Negative 6. That is your answer. Think you can handle that? Okay, alright. If you think you can handle that, here's a challenge problem for you. Ready? What is this one? The opposite of the opposite of the opposite of the opposite of the absolute value of negative 5. What do you think it is? Chloe, what do you think?
5.
You think it's 5? Anyone else? Chris? Negative 5. It's going to be either one of those two. Okay? Alright. How you start? Start from the inside. What is the absolute value of negative 5? Right? It's 5. What is the opposite of 5? Negative 5. So cross it out. What's the opposite of negative 5? 5. How do you cross that out? What's the opposite of 5? Negative 5. What is the opposite of negative 5? The answer is 5. Do not expect a question like this on your test or your homework or anything like that. It's kind of fun. Okay. Question? Do you think you can handle absolute value? It's the distance from? Distance from? 0. Okay, it's the distance from 0. How far is the number away from 0? Okay, looking at part 2. We're going to order these values from greatest to least. What's our key words here? Melody. Greatest to least. We're going to do this one together, then you have a problem to try on your own. Alright, greatest to least. What number has the greatest value here? Look at all of these. It's on your paper too. Which one has the greatest value? You can apply the absolute value to it. Chris, what do you think?
The absolute value of -7.
Awesome. The absolute value of -7 does have the greatest value because what is it? Melody? It's 7. So on your paper, you're writing these in order from greatest to least. You need to write the original numbers though. So you have to write the absolute value of -7. Maybe above it, like I'm doing, you can write the answer. Okay, what's the next largest number? Will? 0? Okay, looking at it, we have -7, absolute value of 0, -1, absolute value of -3, 1, absolute value of 1, -3. Skylar? 7. Where do you see 7? This is -7. Okay, Melody? Good. The absolute value of -3. What is the absolute value of -3? All together? 3. All right. What's the next one? Numbers. What's the next highest value? Chloe.
The absolute value of 1.
Perfect. The absolute value of 1 all together is what? 1. After that, Bryce.
0.
Absolute value of 0, which has value of 0. Next. So we're going from greatest to least. Greatest to least. Mark. -1. Then we have -3. -7. I think putting the answers above is helpful. If you look at our numbers, we have 7, 3, 1, 0, -1, -3, -7. Those do go in order from greatest to least. Do you have any questions? Alright, what I want you to do then is to do the one below it, but I want to add one thing here. You have the opposite of the absolute value of 8. Remember, what is the opposite of the absolute value of 8? Think about that. Okay. Put these numbers in order. It might be helpful to solve some of them first. Alright, let's go ahead and go over those answers to this problem. We have absolute value of -5, -5, absolute value of 2, -2, absolute value, or -3, and the opposite of the absolute value of 8. Okay, we're going from least to greatest. So we're putting our smallest number first, working your way to the right. What number has the smallest value? Elion.
8. I don't know.
How do you read this? The opposite of the absolute value of 8. Okay, what is the value of this number? Chris?
8.
Not 8.
-8.
Right? There should be -8 above. What's the next number? Smallest number. Mark.
-6.
Oh, we're on the second one. You're on the second one. We're doing the one. Okay, what is the absolute value of -5? Colin? 5. 5 is not going to go there. So what's after negative 8? Shiloh. Negative 5. Which has a value of negative 5. What's after negative 5? Bryce. Negative 3, which has a value of negative 3. Alright, what's next? Karen. Negative 2. Awesome job. Negative 2. Okay. After that, Melody. What's the absolute value of negative 5? 5. Our other choice is absolute value of 2. Absolute value of 2, which and then absolute value of negative 5. This is 2. This is 5. These are in order from least to greatest. Okay. I like to put the answers above or below them so you know what you're looking at. Okay. Questions? Melody? We're not going to go over that. Okay. We're not going to go over the next one because it has to deal with rational numbers, which we will do later on this year. And not too far away. All right, go ahead and turn your paper over to the back. It says a college student is working during the summer to save money for the upcoming school year. She deposits the money she earns working. The money she withdraws, she uses to pay for her living expenses. If you notice, this stuff is expensive. Okay. All right. Month May, she deposits $925. If you deposit money, is that a positive thing or a negative thing? Or is it a positive integer or a negative integer? Leon, it's a positive integer, right? When you put money into the bank, what does your overall bank account do? It goes up. Okay, it's a positive thing. You want money in the bank. Okay, withdrawals. Will, those are negative integers. It means that money is taken away from you. You spend it. Okay, it's no longer in your account. Your bank account would go down. Negative integer. Okay, the questions asked. In which month did the college student spend the most money? Talk to the person beside you that you're connected with or behind you. What do you think? All right, here we go. In which month did she spend the most money? Alistair. August. Why is that spending the most money? Livy. Good. Negative $550 is the biggest takeaway. Okay, so the greatest amount of money spent. Okay, with your partner that you're sitting next to, I want you to talk about questions 1, 2, and 3. Okay. What do you think? Statement number 1 says the absolute value of a number is less than the given number. Is that true or false? Chris? False. Do we agree with that? Yes. Okay. The absolute value of a number always equals the number. Alistair? False, right? The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. These do not equal each other. That is false. The absolute value of a number is always the opposite of the number. What do you think? Raise your hand for true. Raise your hand for false. Okay, what is the absolute value of 5? Skylar? 5. Is 5 and 5 opposites of each other? No. So that answer has to be false. Okay? The only time you do the opposite is when it's the absolute value of a negative number. Like the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. That's its opposite, but if you have a positive number inside your absolute value, it does not become a negative number. So it's not the opposite. Okay. All absolute values are positive because they are a distance. I want you to look here at this question. Sea level is what number? What integer is sea level? Elion. It's 0. Okay, so you have different dives. Your first dive, you go negative 12 feet. Your second dive, you go negative 14 feet. Third, negative 10. Fourth, negative 8. Which dive did you dive the deepest? And what dive did you dive the deepest? Chloe. The second dive. Okay. You traveled a distance of how far? Colin. 14 feet. Do you hear? I said the distance that you travel, not pack up. That means you're not paying attention. The distance you travel is 14 feet. Why is it not negative 14 feet? Melanie. Good, you can't travel a negative distance. It's a negative because it's relative to sea level, which means it's below. Okay. Which dive did they go? Did they go to shallow? That's a word. No shallow. Clark. Fourth dive. Good. Okay, make sure you attempt A3 homework. Nice job today.